All right, got a couple questions to answer from the last video. And first, I want to talk about, we had a lot of questions for the first video, and then there's two people that asked questions in the second video. And I want to apologize right away. The bird's noisy because I'm doing my laundry, and I don't know if you can hear it or not, but there are fireworks going on outside the window. They're not real close, but I can hear them, so I don't know if the camera is going to pick them up or not. But I'm going to answer questions two people asked, and I like the idea of sitting down and talking to everybody. So I'm going to try and do videos every other week on Friday or Saturday, that kind of area, and they're going to be it's just going to have something. It's just going to be something where I have a topic and I'm going to talk about it. So you can ask just random questions, the same kind of questions that were asked before for these videos, or you can ask questions pertaining to the topic of what I'm going to be talking about that week, and I'll do my best to answer the questions for you. So the first thing I'm going to talk about next week is, it's either going to be next week or the week after, but the first topic I'm going to talk about is jig and fly tying. And maybe, depending on how much I get into it, maybe lure making as well. Probably, at least I'll touch on some stuff about lure making. So I just wanted to announce that real quick. If you have questions for me about, jig tying, fly tying, or lure making, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you just have questions on, just anything else random you want to ask a question about, go for it. Leave it below. Again, nothing political or religious, just because you can't, you're going to piss somebody off answering those questions no matter how you answer them. So I'll answer these couple questions really quick, and we'll wrap this up. Beyond the Cane Pole, Peter asks, I have two questions for you. First is from him, and the second one's from his wife. From him, is there any species of fish or type of fishing that I have not done that I want to try? And if so, what is it? The type of fishing is kind of tough to say. I've never fished in the ocean, but it's not like, other than catching different types of fish, the fishing itself isn't different. If you're standing, either on the beach or in a boat or something, and you're casting and working lures, or you're casting bait and letting it sit. That's the same kind of fishing that I do, on the bank around here, or in my kayak or anything like that. So I don't know that that's really a different type of fishing. I'd like to do some saltwater fishing. I don't have that opportunity around me. Species, I'd really like to catch a bowfin. They're around here. I've seen one. I think I saw one in the river, in the Oneida River, when we were bass fishing one day. That's what I thought it was. I'm not really sure because we didn't catch it and get it out of the water or anything like that. And I think I might have hooked one time at Onondaga Lake, because it hit. It didn't hit like a catfish or a bass would have. So I kind of thought it was a bowfin, but I'm not really sure. It was shaped similarly to a catfish, like top-down profile of it. I could only kind of see like the head of it sticking out from between some rocks and some vegetation on the surface. But it came out and it hit my jig, and like catfish would generally roll, and it didn't, and it just broke my line and took off. And I kind of think that was a bowfin, but I'm not really sure. And from what some people say, there's a lot of them in that area. So I guess I would say I don't really consider it a different type of fishing, but fishing in the ocean. And that would be doing something like speckled trout or striped bass or something, where I'm able to cast lures and active fish. And freshwater species is definitely a bowfin. The second question is from his wife. Is there any particular species of fish that for whatever reason I don't like to catch? Right now, no. I enjoy catching everything. I mean, if I'm out with, heavier bass gear, not really heavy bass gear, but if I'm out with, my normal bass gear, I don't like catching 6-inch rock bass because you just hook them and drag them in and they don't fight. So it's not fun. I love catching them on my ultralight stuff. And excuse me, used to hate catching pickerels when we were fishing for bass, because they're, you get to a point where we were fishing that in the summer the bass go either deeper or different areas or whatever, and everywhere we were fishing, all we were catching was pickerel, and that just got to be a nuisance taking them off the hook, and having to always check your line for their teeth and everything. So that became a big pain in the ass. But now I don't mind it at all. Since I got a fish grip, they're a lot easier to deal with. You hold them by the mouth just like you would a bass, except you use the gripper and it holds them good, so it makes it a lot easier to handle them, and I don't mind catching them. MOJSMG Steve asked, video games, if I enjoy them, and what platform. I used to play a lot of video games. A lot. I mean, when I was in high school, in high school, I'd get home from school, I'd play video games until I went to bed. Then I'd get up and go to school, come home, play video games. That's all I did. I didn't do my schoolwork. And, but back then, that would have been like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, really early PlayStation 2 time. Mostly back then was like Japanese RPGs. Not really like Final Fantasy, but games like Breath of Fire, although that was Super Nintendo, was Breath of Fire. A lot of Japanese RPGs back then. I'm trying to think of names of them, and I can't think of them off the top of my head. But it was a lot of that. I always played. I'm a big wrestling fan, so I always played all the wrestling games. I always played Madden football every year. Played the basketball games quite a bit. More recently, I have an Xbox 360. I haven't turned it on in probably almost a year. There's very few games that interest me anymore. I was playing the Batman Arkham series. I played the first one and really enjoyed that, and I have the second one and just never got into it. Never started it. I liked Borderlands. I really liked the Red Dead, either Red Dead Revolver or Red Dead Redemption, whichever the newer one was for 360. I liked that. That was a lot of fun. But my favorite console is Super Nintendo. That's what I really grew up on playing, and there's so many enjoyable games on there still. It really, if I play anything anymore, my Super Nintendo is still hooked up, and that's what I play all the time. Or not all the time, but when I play video games, I play Super Nintendo. The Mario that was the Super Nintendo version, Donkey Kong, all three of them, Mario RPG, the old Harvest Moon. I always liked all the Harvest Moon games. So that answers all the questions. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And like I said, I will be doing a video either probably not this Friday, probably the Friday after. I'm going to be doing a video talking about fly tying and jig tying and some tackle craft lure making kind of stuff. So if you have any questions, leave them below. If you have any questions, just general questions, go ahead and leave those below too. Thanks for watching.